What's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? I put it in the caption. Sigh. It's here. It's here, guys. Y'all wanted it. It's the day. This is episode 463 of the Purple People podcast. I am expecting a lot of interaction and a lot of viewers tonight. Welcome to the show. I'm Kyle Smith. I have Kyle West and Adam Carlson here.
Guys. See, you guys are wearing white and you're all bright, and I'm wearing black and mourning over here, and you guys are all like, it's a bright, happy day.
I got my ugly Christmas. Well, it's not a sweater, but it's a shirt with a penguin and a tree on it, because you know.
Charlotte, we will clarify next time. So Adam and I are East Coast time. Kyle is Central time. Any times that we post up there, it'll tell you when I make these posts, I generate them. And it'll tell you the time, and it'll be Eastern always, because it'll take off the GPS of my phone or wherever. But yeah, we did say that. I wanted to go earlier.
I work here, and I don't know what time we were recording tonight. So
we always have to tell Kyle what time it is. So funny.
Yeah.
And it didn't help the last however many years. I've been bouncing around all over. I'm like, where is Carmen Sandiego? So I get it. We'll put it in. I wanted to get started earlier. I think this is a prime time to start before the national championship starts. Everyone's probably home, getting off work or home from work, and we've already got 10 people in here. Like, let's just go right into it. Today's episode is more than a Spielman. Kind of shocking. We all predicted Mike Zimmer was going to get fired. He was let go today, but so is general manager Rick Spielman. And from what we had heard, now the three of us were like, he could probably go. But from what we had heard in the national media, it sounded like he was staying. So we're not saying that he won't come back. Maybe he goes to a different role, but he's fired. He's probably gone.
It was a shock to me. I was shocked because, like you guys, I had heard all the reports, all the Vikings podcasts I listened to. Everyone had been saying the same speculation that Zimmer was in all likelihood gone, and that we had heard reports of Rick Spielman maybe being kicked upstairs. We're going to make up some position, keep him in the building as an advisory style role. That was what I really expected. That was what was going to happen today. So when I woke up to the news that Spielman was gone, along with Mike Zimmer, I was shocked and excited at the same time, because I think the Wilfs made a really good, smart business decision and football decision by doing so.
That's kind of what I wanted to start with. Yes or no? Do you think this is a smart move? And this has to be a package deal. We'll break it down, but obviously it was a package deal. At some point in the season, we had heard that they would be handcuffed, which is kind of cool that panned out. Adam, what's your thoughts? Do you think on the surface this is a smart decision?
Well, I've been one of the few that have been quite vocal about Rick Spielman, putting a lot of the shortcomings on his team on him. Mm-hmm. And it's not really his fault in a lot of ways, because he did feel like this roster was so close to contending that they were just a few pieces away from making a championship run. And every time he'd use all his salary cap and every resource he had to bring in talent to make that run. And every year Minnesota would come up short. And he did it the last 2 years. And now Minnesota is in this spot where a lot of the free agents that are leaving that were signed can't come back. Kirk Cousins' contract has been kicked down the road so many times that now he's got a massive cap, which is the same situation we saw with Drew Brees many years back, but not as bad as the Drew Brees situation.
Right.
Not quite that bad yet.
He's not that Mets player that's going to keep getting paid every year like $8 million until like 2050.
Right.
That's the
Which
worst
is awesome.
contract in history for a team.
So yeah, Rick Spielman's exit, I loved that what he could get for value for his own players, but he made some highly questionable trades to acquire talent. His draft picks were 50-50 at best. His draft philosophy of acquiring late round picks didn't result in the team having a lot of depth and versatility. So I believe that his philosophy and his practices didn't work out anywhere close to the way they wanted them to. And although they may have worked in a different world where different players were selected and maybe legal issues or injuries didn't go the way they went, but for Spielman, his track record just isn't good enough to stick around. And honestly, a fresh approach to the team with a new draft philosophy, trying to take what the Vikings have, keep what works, get rid of what doesn't, and a new fresh set of eyes to take a look at this project would be an absolutely wonderful idea.
I agree with you, Adam. That fresh set of eyes is really important. This team was at a point where I agree with what you said. I don't think that Spielman was able to objectively evaluate the roster moving forward to either retool or rebuild or whatever terminology you want to use with that. And I also don't. He got lost on his own philosophy for building the team a while ago as well, too. I had posed a question to you guys. Do the Vikings build through free agency or do they build through the draft? Because for the longest time, I always felt that Rick Spielman's philosophy was to build through the draft, but they haven't been doing a good job with that. They've been trying to supplement through free agency, and then that stopped working. And when you're not doing either of those well, you're in the position that this team is currently in right now. And you really do, the word stale comes to mind for me. The Minnesota Vikings have felt stale since about, for sure, that Dallas Cowboys game. Like, it's been
They felt
off.
stale last year, dude. This has been lingering for so long, and it's just
right.
It's tough pill to swallow. I'm gonna defend Zimmer like to the hill tonight. So if you guys don't like Mike Zimmer, you're not gonna like me tonight. But this is the typical coach response, man. And it's nothing against Jonathan's a very smart guy. He's on the show all the time, but he's not going to say he only cared about winning because he was done, number one. And it sucks, but it's kind of the same thing when Frazier was here.
But let's talk about for a minute here. Okay, so Jared Allen had the single season sack record, right?
What's that?
Jared Allen had the single season sack record, right? Before it was broken by Michael Strahan.
Right.
Strahan was essentially handed that record.
I believe Strahan had it. He was going for it. I believe Jared Allen was going for that record, but the Bears like triple teamed him that last game. But he was very close. He set the Viking record.
Well, whoever had the record before him, Strahan was essentially handed that last sack so he could be able to beat the record.
Yes.
Now, I understand today's society. Everybody's like, well, I'll go ahead and hand it to him. But Mike Zimmer's mentality is a lot like the old school approach to where you got to earn it. To put him out there in a situation where they wouldn't normally pass the football would feel not right, I guess, in a lot of ways.
But I also, to take that instance and use it as an example.
That was a Brett Favre fall, by the way, Andrew.
It was.
It hurts. It hurts to say it was Favre fall. Damn it, Favre.
Right. But you look at Tom Brady being all fired up for like, I'm going to make sure his guy, Rob Gronkowski, gets this extra pass. I'm going to fight for him. We're going to make sure he gets it. That's important for him. So and this is to talk about Kirk Cousins in that moment when it was the 3rd and 14 and they called the run play. Brett Favre, Tom Brady would have been like, oh, my headset's cutting out. Can't hear you. Because they should have known how important that was to Justin Jefferson. Oh, sorry, can't hear this play. I'm going to make sure I get a pass to Justin Jefferson. Because
can I go the opposite direction?
Do you think he would want it that way, though?
Yeah.
I think Jefferson will take it any way he can get because he's a flashy guy. But I'm going to go the opposite way, and I'm just going to go right into my rant. So I apologize to the guys. I'm going to talk for a long time here. Justin Jefferson, and I love you. I hope you stay here the whole time. Like a lengthy, like Tom Brady in New England career, like that long. The dude had so many drops, and you were 17. Dude, catch one of those balls, and you're in a 17 game season going to 16 to 17 now. He'll break the record. He'll get it. That's 100%. My defense on that. It's like, dude, with all the, I mean, he's not a drop machine. Don't get me wrong, but I went to the Carolina game this year.
Andrew was mad at Cousins for hitting Osborne on that pass instead of throwing it to Justin Jefferson, but he threw it to the first guy he saw open.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what quarterbacks are supposed to do.
And I get it that Brady did that, but it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady can look at the coach like Brett Favre looked at Chili and be like, hey, screw you. I'm going to do what I want. You listen to me. That's how this works. Like,
now, when something is on the line, like if he'd have gotten a financial bonus, sure, we saw Tom Brady feed Rob Gronkowski so Gronk could get that $1 million bonus. We saw that in this final week of the season.
You know what's funny about Kirk is that even when he throws a touchdown pass, like that was a good touchdown pass that he threw. everyone is like, you idiot. You didn't throw it to the right guy. Like, he can't win.
This is the perfect segue.
He can do.
This is the perfect segue. I want to do this. I have notes so I don't go too long. All right. Vikings Twitter, please delete yourselves. Go away. You're the worst fan base in the NFL. If Mike Zimmer doesn't owe the next head coach a damn thing, all right, he doesn't. And I'm going to tell you right now, if any one of us was going to get fired, and every one of our customers that came and said, oh, you suck at your job, you're terrible, can't wait till they fire you, is he going to leave it perfect for the next guy? No. And secondly, why does he care if he's getting shit canned if the Vikings get a better draft position? That's my second point. And thirdly,
I mean, you're not wrong on point.
Thirdly, go tell who's the tallest, biggest dude on the field, probably one of the linemen. Go tell freaking Darisaw or O'Neal, well, you guys ruined the draft by 4 spots. You're a pussy and you're not going to do that. You're not ever going to say that in real life. These guys go out there to play. And on the flip side, for all those people screaming about the Jefferson stat, for you that are bitching about draft position, you basically to hold Justin Jefferson to sit down. This isn't your fantasy football league, you morons. It's not how this works. These guys wanted to go out with a win. And if they would have lost to the god-awful Bears, I mean, come on. You know, they were better than that team. And it's the first time they swept them in like 5 years. So relish in the little part of the game that you could have fun with. You know what I mean?
This is also, and I will, for like from the team perspective, this is going to be the last time that a lot of those guys play together in terms of veteran talent. You know, that we probably all have jerseys of some of these guys hanging up in our closet behind us. A lot of them probably won't be in purple, especially with a new GM and head coach coming in. So I understand wanting to go out and get a win, just for the sake of the talent on the field. Although I will say, come training camp next year, it's entirely meaningless that we beat the Chicago Bears to end out the season. But
that's fine.
You know.
And you know what? The other part of that too is like people are bitching about draft position. Hey, assholes! Okay, you can move up and down in the draft.
That's the
Rick
thing.
Spielman does it all the time. I can't tell you since this guy's been the GM where they've kept only their draft picks and they didn't move at all. That dude moved around every year.
Not even Lions Twitter is mad that the Lions won in week 18.
Oh my God. It's so stupid. It's like if you can't figure out like, oh, let's just take Trevor Lawrence for a second. Let's say Trevor Lawrence was coming out this year and there was a ton of DBs and edge rushers. The Vikings are at 12 and he falls like 8. If you're not football smart enough to go up and get him, you shouldn't have that job anyways. Guys, we can move around in the draft. Twitter infuriates the life out of me. I'm sure you can hear it in my tone, but I can't take that. And the last point I'll make, because I'm not going to stand on this island all night, is with having a 16 to 17 game season now, that's a lot of games. Zimmer never once had double-digit losses here. It was like 72 and 50 something. I told you guys this a couple weeks ago. It's a what have you done for me lately league, and I know the defense sucked, but you know who I'm pointing my finger at and I hope doesn't have a job? Clint Kubiak. If he goes, this whole thing was a win. And I hope he gets a job somewhere else. Maybe he's great later. But
whoever the new coaches that they bring in will establish their own staff.
Please.
And I'm assuming that whoever comes in as the new head coach is not going to pick Clint Kubiak, is not going to pick Adam Zimmer to be their coordinators. The days of that nepotism, I believe, are gone, which is fantastic.
That's one of the things they needed to do, right?
Oh, yes.
That was one of their downfalls in this team. And I love that they wanted to keep it close and in the family. And, hey, I got a position for you here for this set, the linebackers, the O-line or whatever. But it was a failure. And there
are positional coaches that I do hope stick around, because there are some positional coaches that I feel have done a really good job. Ryan Ficken, Keenan McCardell, Patterson. I mean, there are guys that should stick around, and hopefully the new coach will take a look at them and evaluate them and see if they're a good fit for this coaching staff. And I hope they are. If they're not, though, I understand. But it's time to get a new approach to this team, both coaching and in the front office. And, yeah, I mean, as I wrote over in the Viking Age, in my article that came out, I think it was Sunday morning. No, Monday morning? I don't know. But either way, days have kind of been molding together a little bit. But, yeah, it's just mediocrity is done. This team, they were a good team, but they always played to their opponents.
Yes.
Yeah.
They always came as a 500 or closer team, and the last 2 years not making the playoffs. This team is too talented.
Not with that talent, you can't miss the playoffs with this talent, man. And that's a misuse of your personnel. I mean, honestly, if we're breaking it down like that. Jonathan says, hopefully Patterson says, I think he's cemented enough to where he should get a fair shot. He should get a fair. He has too many legends under his belt on that D line to be like, hey, just get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but in the same respect, we're hitting a reset button here in Minnesota.
Hey,
and so
I'm with it.
I mean, yeah, you can make the case for some of the assistant coaches are pretty good, and I'm weary about keeping too much of that.
They have to be a good fit for the new coach, otherwise they're not right here.
And scheme and personnel, if it doesn't make sense, I'm 100% with you.
So
Clifford Tang, what's up, dude? Happy freaking birthday!
Woo.
He sent us a comment this morning. He was like, best birthday present ever. I'm over here sad. Like I just broke up with a girlfriend of 8 years. Zimmer's gone. And he's like, woo, clean house.
It's sad because 8 years ago, I was pounding the table here for Mike Zimmer. I loved his defense, loved the philosophy. And honestly, there were some great years here under Zimmer. Wonderful football was played. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed a lot of the time.
We're going to talk positively about the Mike Zimmer era.
Defense was awesome.
When we get a little further removed from it, like right now, we just ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, you're right.
We just pulled it off. And
it doesn't stop social media from having players and media attack Mike Zimmer, talking about his locker room strategies and his personalities and all that.
Yeah.
We had Sage Rosenfeld going on Twitter talking about how bad Kirk Cousins is. It's like, dude, you are in no position to ever talk bad about Kirk Cousins. Oh my goodness, what a terrible take.
I agree with Sean. I really liked Mark Wolf's statement about how they want to be competitive and they want to win championships. Look, Mark and Ziggy Wilf are smart businessmen. They're smart business owners. They've invested heavily in the Minnesota Vikings. They've built a brand new stadium, a brand new practice facility, and I've read that they're developing like 200 acres around the practice facility where they're building all kinds of hotels and like
the first hotel is up. You can go stay there.
So they're making like Vikings Land, the amusement park around this thing. So like
it's a big investment for them, and they want to have a reason to make more money off it. And you can't blame them.
Yeah,
you don't take over a sports team and feel like the Jags.
And there's no denying Zimmer's passion for football or his love for this team or wanting them to succeed. Anybody who doubts that in any way is clueless.
Right, because we were talking about that on Sunday. Was it Sunday? Boy, it goes by quick, don't it? Sunday when we were listening to his post-game press conference where he was getting choked up. Mike Zimmer was getting choked up talking about players Anthony Barr and how, he's going to miss the veteran guys who have been with him this whole time. And that's why I told you guys in our private chat that I'm with you, Adam. I don't necessarily like that comment coming from Eric Kendricks because that's one of Zimmer's guys. And do you really need to say that in the media? I don't know. I don't know what that accomplishes because he's gone.
Right. I'm with you. I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I think it's a new wave. I'm with you guys. I think Zimmer put his heart and soul. He literally almost lost an eyeball for this place. I think it's a generational gap too, which is a lot of the reason why Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, why they have a lot of success. I think they have more to relate to these guys. Not that Zimmer didn't make the attempt. He's an almost 70-year-old white dude, and he's out there standing next to his African-American players saying, I'm standing with you for social justice reform. I'm talking about you about getting vaccinated, like for what it's called. And I'm not making fun of this term, but for an old man to be quote unquote woke like that, he did a pretty good job. I just think generationally, there's not a lot to get along with there. And I think a lot of these younger players like Jefferson, he's flashy, man. I don't find him cocky. I just find him like, this is me soaking it up because I know I'm not going to be like this forever. What does Mike Zimmer have in common with that kid?
And those old school coaching techniques don't mesh with younger players.
They don't. They really don't. Do you think Zimmer has any idea what a gritty is?
Schefter does, and he'll never do it again.
Yeah, he'll never do that shit again.
That's a half joke, but that's also a good example of like crotchety old Zimmer probably doesn't care or understand about the gritty. And like, I'm not saying that that's important to the team at all, but being able to relate a little bit with your talent, like that is important for these younger kids that are coming out.
So do you think this is it for Zimmer? Do you think he hangs it up, or do you think he's still got football in his blood and wants to do it?
Zimmer will be a defensive coordinator for someone very soon. Dallas Cowboys, like if they're defensive
Dan
coordinator,
Quinn leaves.
Yeah, if he ends up leaving,
and then it'll be him and Mike McCarthy. How funny would that be?
Right. And here's the thing: Zimmer's a good defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
he'll be fine. He will inherit a good Dallas defense.
Yes,
and he will maintain and improve that defense. And Vikings fans don't want to hear that, but sometimes you're just a better coordinator than you are a head coach. And the fact that Zimmer got...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, just the fact that he got 8 years as a head coach and had success with it is a lot more than a lot of other people get.
Yeah, a lot of organizations wouldn't stick around. That's what I like about this place. They will give you a chance, and they'll give you a second chance.
Which is
what I was going to say to your point is
why
this is that revolving door of everything that happened. I have so many places my brain wants to go with this. We're talking about this, right? I'm just going to say stuff that's not popular today because I want to get all the negativity out of my body so I can be optimistic for whatever happens in the next month.
Let's start by talking about the defensive coordinator spot, because the last few years under Mike Zimmer, actually, as the entire regime, the defensive coordinator position was essentially just doing what Mike Zimmer told you to do.
Run the practice schedule. Pretty much.
Pretty much. Because Mike Zimmer was the defensive coordinator as the head coach. So when you get a head coach in here that's finally going to delegate some duties, have offensive coordinator run the offense, make some play calls, and work with the offense really closely to succeed, and have the defensive coordinator actually do the same for the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you got a team that's actually going to run the way that an NFL team typically runs, that alone, I think, will help this team.
I am assuming that the Vikings are going to want to find a younger offensive-minded head coach.
Yep.
So in that scenario, I think you are looking to bring in kind of a veteran defensive...
you don't want Adam Zimmer as defensive coordinator?
No, we do not want Adam Zimmer.
I love your family, man, but I'm going to need you to go take a vacation.
Yeah, I gotta believe that they're gonna do kind of the opposite of what Mike Zimmer did when he came in. So he's your defensive guy, and he went for the established offensive coordinators, and he ran through a bunch of them, and that is part of his failures with this team. But I think that we're kind of gonna be the opposite of that.
All right, I want to go back to what I was talking about earlier, because this is something I got to get the negativity out. We got to go to the hate out so we can be excited for whatever happens. Where was it at? When we had Shermer's fancy offense, pretty damn good.
Yeah.
If not for a lucky play, Mike Zimmer's career looks a lot different. And I'm just going to say it out loud. Do I like the miracle and I love Stephon ruining the Saints season? Yes. That was a fluke play. They never should have went to Philly. Like it or not, it's the absolute truth.
Both Vikings' only playoff wins were just one play that took that game over the edge.
Yeah.
2 plays away from not having a playoff win whatsoever.
And I'm not taking it away from getting there. It happened. They made great. That second Saints game, they were throwing Everson and Daniil in the middle on the line. It was genius. They frustrated Drew Brees. Kirk Cousins played light. I get it. But there's some fluky stuff that happened to make that look better than it should have. And I want to say this because I know this is true, and I want to hear everyone's comments on this. If Mike Zimmer had gotten his way, because he did not want Kirk Cousins, it's not old news now. It's been out there. He would have had Teddy Bridgewater or Sam Bradford, and I don't think you would have had the success that you had at quarterback like you did with Kirk. And that's where the Rick Spielman stuff comes into me. Tell me if I'm wrong on this, guys. It seems like, and Kyle, you pointed this out earlier, they got away from that mantra of having good depth and maybe not having the absolute stud or superstar at a position, but man, the depth was quality. And now they've kind of backed themselves into a corner where, remember when Kendricks or Barr went down and we were like, well, we're fucked at linebacker. Thielen goes down and we're like, well, KJ's good, but he's no Thielen. It seems like the depth on this team, very recent years from now, it's took a turn for the worse. And that's where I look at the Spielman stuff and I'm like, He's all right.
I love the concept of casting a wide net later in the draft to catch talent that falls through. I 100% understand it, but so many misses have led to all these picks leaving, right after training camp.
I would rather hit on 1 third-round pick as opposed and hey, that third-round pick is going to contribute to the team. He might not be a starter, but we're talking about a good rotational piece who's going to be here, and maybe he will develop into a starter. I would rather hit on that one guy as opposed to having 5 6th and 7th round picks, and 2 of them end up on the practice squad, and the rest of them are released, and that's it.
And 1 special teamer.
Yeah, and the whiff on the kickers, man. That's what.
Daniel Carlson sliding through the cracks, man.
For all those home runs, there's a lot of strikeouts, and
Daniel Carlson is absolutely killing it.
He just won the Raiders season for them last night. I mean, clutch field goal.
And the thing with Daniel Carlson is that fault lies on Spielman and Zimmer. And I don't know how much time we want to spend with that, but we've discussed.
This is a good quote here too, Scott. Is what you could pay for a coach and picks. Yeah, just sell all your future away like the Rams did for a good coach. I would. That'd be fun.
Well, which team was it that traded a coach
for picks?
Yeah,
I don't know. Can't remember that.
It wasn't that long ago.
All right, last one I'm going to die on here, and I want you to hear me out for this because we're going to play the what-if game now since he's gone and Spielman's gone. You can blame Mike Zimmer and say, well, the defense is shitty. And you can blame Spielman and say, well, there's no depth. But for this season, this particularly heartbreaking season, 3 games, if the players had done their effing job, we wouldn't be talking about this. 8 and 9, right? Arizona game. Oh, my God, make the field goal. Oh, my God. You're 9 and 8 now. Let's go back to what was the Detroit game? Don't play off. I'm that game ruined my confidence in Cameron Dantzler more than anything. Bashad Breeland's gone, so there you go. I mean, he was what he was.
True, Scott. Where'd you hear that?
Yes, that was on the TV earlier tonight when I was having dinner. Yes, Leslie Frazier is interviewing with the Bears.
That's juicy.
And take your pick: the Ravens game in overtime or Cincinnati in overtime. We're talking about an 11-win team versus, and that's when the players need to do their jobs.
And 2 of those games that you're talking about, I believe, had fumbles in the final few minutes that led to the loss.
It's not all on these guys. All I want to say, I know that's a collective effort, and I know this has been a roller coaster, and you can just throw at a dartboard what went wrong because there's so many options. But some of these players need to be held accountable too.
Vikings fans, I love you guys, I do. But when you're complaining about the money that Kirk Cousins is making, and yet Kirk Cousins is the number 8 quarterback in the NFL in most statistics. He's a top 10 quarterback in every statistic. And then you've got so much money being poured on the defense and getting no results.
They spent, because I posted this on the Facebook page, in free agency last season, the season we just played, they spent $41 million in free agent signings to bring in, and they had the 31st ranked overall defense. They spent $41 million and got absolutely no return out of it.
But you know what's going to be funny? With 7 sacks yesterday, they're going to be at the top of the list with sacks again.
Are they really?
With who out there?
Well, they finished second or third in sacks this year?
Let me look it up.
Because I know that the 2 games before this, they had none in either game.
Well, Andy Dalton,
which again
for it.
points to the inconsistency, as I wrote in my article over on the Viking Age, the inconsistency of this team is mind-boggling. The fact that they can go out and they can score 9 points against one team and not complete a third down, and then the next week they come out and they score 42.
You won't guess it. Guess where the Vikings finished this year?
And what are we talking about? Sacks?
Team sacks. Overall NFL team sacks.
I have no idea. Third?
It's second or third, right?
Second.
Yeah.
You could not.
With who?
I wouldn't even hardly
For how
believe
bad
that.
the defense was. And I know it was inflated after this game, but good Lord. Pittsburgh was number 1, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Oh, yeah. Well, TJ Watt had like 6 of his own last week.
Yeah. Adam, that's something we had talked about at one point on this episode as well, too, is that just how up and down this team is, and how if they would have played the winless Detroit Lions, that game would have came down to 3 points. If they would have played the that undefeated New England Patriots team, guess what? It also would have came down to a 3-point score, because that was this team.
Scott, no. Keep Darrell Bevel on the opposite side of the country away from us. No. If you've watched Seattle at all in the last, when did Russell Wilson get drafted? 2012? 10 years? No. No. The
Seahawks have no intention of trading Russell Wilson.
No, Scott, you're going the opposite direction. No, go back. No. Get him away from here. No.
We're going to have all off season to discuss the head coach.
That's the third one, by the way.
Well, the first step here is getting a GM in place.
Yes.
The GM is going to be the big hire. Then it's going to be the GM trying to fill his vision with a head coach. And I'm sure it won't be just him. I'm sure the Wilfs will sit down with them and they'll talk about a lot of the options. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that first pick, the first thing the Minnesota Vikings have to do is get that general manager decision right.
And here's the thing. I will not sit here and pretend like, here are your list of like 5 GM candidates from around the NFL.
Like Score North?
Yeah, like I won't do that, because come on. They're going to hire someone that none of us know. It's not going to be a name that will
some guy from ESPN.
Oh, there we go. Like, yeah, that's a good one. And that's the way it should be. Like, your general manager typically, I don't think, is a splashy name hire.
New Vikings general manager Chris Thomason.
Hell yeah! I'll change. I swear to God, I'll change teams.
Hey, how do I
change? That'll be my last show. I'll change teams immediately.
I'm just gonna hit the mute button and put him in timeout.
If they hired Chris Thompson in any coaching facet, I would just be like, I'm in Carolina. I guess I'm a Panthers fan now. This is the end.
Did you hear what he asked Mark Wilf today?
Oh God, no. What did he say?
So it was a really long-winded question, but he was like, is Adam Zimmer still employed with the team? That was legitimately what he asked him. And he was like, yeah, at this time, it was a very political answer where he was like, yeah, at this time, we have only moved on from the head coach and the general manager, and everyone else currently under contract is under contract, and that will be reevaluated, like Adam
which is
said.
The obvious answer.
Yeah, like, what's he going to say? Like, well, fuck everyone currently.
Clifford, I want to be closer to my son. If she's the GM, I'm moving to Minnesota. Oh, Courtney, I love you. I love you so much. Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett is a popular opinion, Scott. Here, we're going to do this now just to get it out of the way, all right? I'm just going to throw names. We don't have to do them in an order, whatever. Brian Flores is going to be a hot commodity. Yeah. Eric Bieniemy, obviously, is a name everybody likes. Brian Daboll is kind of the guy I like from the Bills OC. Who else is out there that is thrown around?
Byron
Leftwich down in Tampa. I would stay the hell away from him as far as possible. You got Tom Brady that came down, and the coach just heard whatever he said. I can't.
Yeah, I've heard really positive things about him.
No, I don't think he's a bad guy. I'm sure he's a great quarterbacks coach, but to be your head coach, dude, that's a flash in the pan. I want to see how he does when Jameis is there. Then I'll see how it goes. Who else is a popular head? For GM, they're looking at Louis Riddick. We were poking fun at him earlier. My pick for GM is the guy from Atlanta who built the roster for that 28-3 Super Bowl. Obviously, you can blame Dan Quinn for that loss, but they had some studs on that Atlanta team everywhere. I mean, everywhere. I don't know if he's still there now, but that's kind of who I would like. But there's a lot of names out there, man. We have no idea. But like Adam said, it's going to take, Harbaugh. I don't think he's leaving Michigan. I don't think he's going to go.
This one from
Scott.
He's had
the best season he's ever had there. Why would he leave?
Nick Saban. We're bringing Nick Saban.
He's Urban Meyer's out there.
Yeah, Urban Meyer's available.
No, but the Jaguar fans do, and they beat the Colts and ruined their playoff hopes. What an embarrassment the Colts are. If you guys ever here's your consolation for the day. Here's how you sleep good tonight. Some team named the Indianapolis Colts paid Carson Wentz from another team after seeing how shitty he was. If you think Cousins' contract is bad, imagine having that kid as your quarterback. And I don't hate him personally.
You actually liked Carson Wentz for a while after that MVP caliber season that he had?
Yeah,
sure.
And I kept telling you, I was like, no. And people were like, we want Carson Wentz in Minnesota.
No.
They go and get Kirk Cousins instead. I'm like, well, I'll take Kirk Cousins because he's all right. But Carson Wentz, no.
He's broken beyond repair. Can't do it. And you lost to the Jags. They haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014.
Okay, so how long do you guys think it will be before the Vikings announce they have hired a new general manager? And will it be Adam's cat? Will it be? Is that potentially
Bernie Cat?
Bernie Cat?
As long as he wears the right tie, he has my support.
I'm going to say within 2 weeks.
Yeah, I do not want the Vikings to rush this decision whatsoever. No. Take your time, find the right candidate. I understand that the window might be closing and some teams are going to jump on a lot of decisions quickly, but that's not how you do it. And I know that the Wilfs are a smart group of guys. They'll take their time. But I also did a little research and figured out that the Vikings haven't hired an outside GM since the 1960s.
Oh, God.
Right. So we're in uncharted territory. They got to take their time. This is the most important decision maybe that the Wilfs have made at this point with this team. What an asshat. That's amazing. Here's the thing, though, is that they can't take too long because coaches will, they're going to get interviews elsewhere. A couple of them are going to get hired elsewhere. But I do think that the Vikings are one of the top destinations that a coach is going to look at. Because if you've got the option between, hey, Jacksonville, well, they're a dumpster fire all of the time. And yeah, I've got Trevor Lawrence, but I have no reason to believe that it won't continue to be a dumpster fire. Same with Miami. What's going on in Miami? What's going on with Tua? Well, they just fired a coach who looked like he was doing okay. So
that was a weird one.
Yeah, so if I'm one of these other coaches, I'm not in too big of a hurry to go somewhere else because maybe I want to see what happens in Minnesota first.
Well, here's the thing about that. I don't want to miss out on some of these coaches, but also we got to hurry up because in 3 weeks, the Super Bowl is going to be here. And then you got to worry about the draft and you got to do a lot of scouting. So I want them to take their time and look at all candidates in depth, but
and speaking of that, let's cross our fingers and hope that with this new regime change comes a new group of Viking scouts.
Unfortunately, probably not until after this year's draft because we're so close to it. I don't know if you can just shit can the whole thing and be like,
there's a GM. I don't know which one it is, but one GM requested not to be fired until after the draft. Which one is that this year?
What?
Why?
Yeah, there's a GM that's staying on until after the draft and they're leaving.
Why?
It's one of the most baffling things I ever saw. I saw it along the bottom ticker when I was watching the Vikings game.
What? How is that anything positive? It could just ruin an entire year. What? What do you have to gain from that?
Okay,
I'm not sure.
Hey, shout out to Leon and shout out to Wes. I've never seen your names pop up here before. We have the most people we've ever had watching right now, which is dope. I knew this would be a very watched episode because of the topic, but thank you guys.
Yeah, speaking of that, we saw some things down in the chat. A coach to elevate Kirk Cousins' play. Want to talk about that one because I don't think Kirk Cousins' play really needs much elevation. I think it needs a little bit better play calling, a little bit more creativity, a little bit more passing, because Mike Zimmer was that run-first coach, and to get a coach in here that isn't afraid to throw the ball down the field, Kirk Cousins has an arm. If you can get him time, you can get things done. And no offense, but another one of the people that needs to be on a bus on the way out of here, Oli Udoh, he might be a good backup, but oh my goodness, come on.
I like when Adam gets fired up like that.
Well, he's passionate about the line, and as he should be. He's the line guru for this show.
Did you see how fast some of those guys were just running through the line and bashing Kirk in the head?
And that's furthering the point of what happened today. Your scouting department for the line, either they suck or you just don't care about your investment in the quarterback because he's terrible. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to brag on myself for half a second. I said, I believe Dalvin Cook can run pretty much any offense in anyone. If he gets the proper blocking, he can do whatever the hell he wants. He likes to go up the middle. Fuck it. Let him go. Build the lines. Get gargantuan dudes up there who are going to bully people. And I'm not saying this particular team because I want their old coach, although I wouldn't be mad if he got hired. But look at the Eagles a couple years ago. Dude, the line is what won them the Super Bowl. Their O-line was awesome, and their D-line was
Look how many Super Bowls the offensive line won the Dallas Cowboys.
Find someone who knows how to draft offensive linemen, and then we can breathe. And I'm sure Kirk will thank you.
You know what's so funny, Adam? We've talked about this. If we go way back to when we first started this podcast, you in particular were like, you need to draft offensive linemen early. And everyone at that time on social media was like, no, you draft a skill player. Oh, you draft a skill player and you pick up your offensive lineman in like round 6 and 7 and you do that. And it's funny how we've came full circle all the way back to what we've always been talking about. You have to develop that offensive line. I have a question for you guys. How long will Rick Spielman stay unemployed?
Less than a month.
Is he going to get picked up by another team?
So it's January 10th. I say before February he'll get a job.
As a GM somewhere?
As a GM.
Or as an assistant or something like that.
Like Hardee's or something.
I don't want to put the specifics down because I don't want to lose any money.
Or are you talking like Family Dollar, or what are we talking here?
Yeah, like Family.
He can work at the Pizza Ranch and be the
general manager at Pizza Ranch underneath Kirk Cousins.
Oh, boy. I think he'll get hired before the month turns to February.
Yeah, I think he's going to be picked up as a general manager for another team here.
We said it, Kyle, to your point. We've said it on the show. None of these guys that got fired today, not either one of them, are awful. Not like it's not like, who was that guy, Freddie Kitchens in Cleveland? Like, wasn't that dumpster fire like that? These guys are competent and they're good. It didn't work them together, and this
isn't like when the Vikings fired the Pringles guy.
Right. If I'm Jacksonville, I'm looking at Rick Spielman like, you can develop me a roster where we're going to be like an 8-9-1 team, and we'll be on the verge of like wild card every other couple seasons. Hell yeah, come on in.
Cliff says Spielman's going to Chicago. He better fucking not.
Honestly, I said that right away when they fired their GM. I'm like, oh, Chicago's going to hire Spielman.
Hey, shout out to my boy James Hart in 18 Visions out in California. He's a massive Bears fan, and he texts me. Funny what happened today for me. Not that you guys care, but we're just laying it all out. It was about 9:11 this morning, and I was like, "There's got to be some kind of stuff." And as soon as I got on Twitter, was the moment it broke. It's like the universe told me it's time. And I looked and I saw, well, Rick Spielman got fired. Holy shit, they're going to keep Zimmer. And then the next one was, okay, Zimmer's gone too. But yeah, I can't believe the Bears actually did it. I'm kind of sad.
I like Leon's comment up here on the screen, and I love the way the word crusty has turned into the go-to word to describe Mike Zimmer. I've heard a lot of people describe him as crusty. He's just like a crusty old man at this point.
Leon, we said he probably would get picked up he's obviously not going to get a head coaching job. I don't think. Crazier things have happened. I mean, the Giants retained Joe Judge for another season. Fucking idiots. But Zimmer, I'm sure he'd get picked up as a DC somewhere.
If something happens in Dallas, Jerry Jones is on the phone immediately with Mike Zimmer, and he's like, "Come, run my defense."
Kyle West has been pounding the table for Zimmer to go to Dallas, like hardcore.
It's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen.
Let me ask this real quick. We got the Zimmer ranch, and we got his familiarity with Dallas. I understand the appeal.
Yeah,
I just don't think there'll be an opening.
He's 65, so he's still got time. He might give it one last go.
I still say the wild card with Mike Zimmer is he is really good friends with Deion Sanders. And I know you guys laugh a little bit about the idea of him going to college.
Oh, they love each other.
But I'm just saying, yeah, they have a total romance.
About the idea of him going to the club with Deion.
I could see
his wife will get him on the VIP list, or his girlfriend rather.
Right?
Cliff, what do you mean? What by this? They lost their allies this morning. Give me more content. I don't know what you're talking about. I want to know. I'm intrigued.
But I could see Deion Sanders calling Zimmer up on the phone and being like, I've got a spot for you on this roster somewhere.
Damn it, Andrew. Now Kyle's going to go nuts for this. Stop it. No. No. Ugh. The Packers have lost. All right, cool. All right, Wes says, do you think the Vikings job is the most attractive of all the openings for candidates, or is there another team? Well, on ESPN, the Vikings job was ranked number 1, and I saw an article for that. Maybe it wasn't ESPN, but it was a major sports outlet. I think it is because you have a lot of pieces, and I think outside of Green Bay, it's kind of like the NFC East. You got one bully, and the rest you're kind of just like hoping to be the little brother that's annoying. So when Aaron Rodgers leaves, whenever that is, this division's kind of for the taking.
Purple bias, I would say, yeah, I think so. I do think that there might be some candidates, coaches, who will look at Jacksonville and go, well, it's been kind of a dumpster fire, but Trevor Lawrence is intriguing.
He's good. I think he'll be fine. But
yes,
and he'll get his running.
You have down there
who was gone for the season, so that offense will be better. Right now, they're starting Laquan Treadwell. If that tells you anything.
Yeah.
And Treadwell's caught touchdowns the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jacksonville is, it's still Jacksonville, but there is some intrigue with that.
And the Bears coaching staff, I know their offense, you got a young quarterback, Justin Fields. You've got some talented receivers there. You got a running back that's combination that's looking good. And you got a defense full of studs.
Cliff, you son of a bitch. This is funny. Oh, he said all Spielman, Zimmer, Pace, and Nagy were all under the Packers payroll. All right, you got me there. I got you. Leon says, seeing a lot of people say the Vikings should pick up Flores. He's a solid head coaching candidate. I don't think that would be a terrible move at all.
No.
Low key, what I think happens, I hope either Brian Daboll or Doug Peterson comes to Minnesota. That's what I'm going to say. You have an experienced Super Bowl winner. You have an up-and-coming offensive-minded guy. I think both of them are going to look at the Cousins deal and make a good decision either way, but those are who I am early.
Let's talk about Cousins a little bit more because we can't stop talking about Kirk Cousins. So Kirk Cousins is going to play probably, most likely, under another new offensive coordinator this year.
Poor guy.
He's a smart guy. He
can't find any stability. But on the other hand, I don't think a new GM or coach is going to be as gloves on with Kirk Cousins as this Viking staff was. They wouldn't put a player under Kirk Cousins that could push him and really have a backup that makes you think, okay, this guy's good. They never really challenged Kirk in that respect. And that lost the Vikings a football game.
I see where you're going with that, Adam.
Well, here's the other part, too, that this backs Adam's point up a million times louder. After that Green Bay game, that's got to be priority number 1 for whoever GM comes in here and says, you got to have a backup because that was an abortion to watch of a game. And it's like, what are we doing? And that's the other thing about the Kellen Mond situation that pissed me off. It's like, we didn't start Kellen Mond. Dude, he can't beat that guy. What are you talking about? I don't want to see him. You're going to ruin the kid before he even starts.
Smith, this is going to make you happy.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so if you didn't like Kellen Mond before, with Rick Spielman being gone and that being one of his draft picks, that makes him entirely expendable to whoever comes in next.
He is. And it's a terrible spot for him, but you know what? You're 100% right.
I want to see that kid succeed.
Of course.
I don't hate him.
I do. He stepped into a terrible situation. Well, it wasn't even by his. Okay, it wasn't even his choice. Let me rephrase that. He was drafted into a terrible situation coming into Minnesota.
And according to his Twitter, he hated Minnesota before he got here.
He probably still does. So
sure
I can't imagine they did a whole hell of a lot to develop him because that staff, from what I'm gathering from what players were talking about, they were very much in the preserve themselves mode. What do I have to do to keep my job? And for Mike Zimmer to keep his job had nothing to do with Kellen Mond, had nothing to do with Wyatt Davis. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, the other thing too, like with how durable Cousins was, even with him being out for a game, it wasn't an injury. It was just COVID. It's going to happen to everybody at least once. you think about, they probably looked at Keller like, hey, dude, we like your potential and stuff, but this dude never misses games. And also, do you know how much we're paying him? Go ahead and get comfortable on the couch. Like, you're not coming in the game. So whatever.
But yeah, there are some tough decisions coming up when the staff gets in place. Because even if they do hire a new general manager and they do bring in a new head coach, then they've got to make the decision on Kirk Cousins, whether to pay him what he's got, try to trade him and eat the difference, or extend him and spread out that money a little bit. And there's also the decision to be made on Danielle Hunter, who...
let's talk about that. Let's talk about him.
I don't know.
Let Kyle West get fired up.
About what? You got to narrow it down.
So let's talk about Hunter and Cook.
Hunter?
Hunter and Cook. Tell everybody what your plan was.
I don't remember. I've had so many plans.
You said let's get rid of both of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think Hunter for sure. He's overpaid based on he can't stay healthy. None
of us hate Danielle Hunter. We think he's an amazing athlete. When he's really healthy, he's an absolute machine.
He can go to a super team like Tampa Bay, and he can look like an absolute monster for them, get hurt, and then come back in the playoffs and help them win a Super Bowl. But we're in reset mode. Right now, that doesn't work. That doesn't work anymore for me in Minnesota. Dalvin Cook, I think you can replace with Madison and another running back and get the same amount of production because, hey, we're 2022. I'm not paying that much money for an injury-prone running back who can't stay on the field, who, guess what? He's another year older. I know he's dynamic, but guess what? We're in reset mode. We're not in... I know the Wolf family said that they want to compete, but let's be realistic. We're not competing in 2022. We're evaluating talent and we're building that foundation for the future. I don't need those guys. And that sucks because I know you've got the jerseys hanging in the closet, but these are conversations that we have to have.
Well, Madison becomes a free agent this year, right?
Does he?
I believe so.
Well, you got to retain Madison.
So I as much as I like Madison, and they could bring him back, they could find another more shifty player in the draft to be a backup. Because let's be honest, in today's NFL, the featured back is not really a functional model anymore. Look at how many teams that have a featured running back had their running back in play for the entire season in 2021.
You guys are interacting great in the chat. Scott says, I wouldn't say we're in reset. A lot of good talent. Andrew thinks like, yeah, old talent though. Yeah, you're right. And I didn't want to interrupt Kyle. I'm sorry. I have a bad habit of that. I get excited here. You guys see how spirited I've gotten. Cook hasn't played a full season since he's been here. So I'm not saying that's right or wrong of Kyle's method. I really just wanted him to piss you guys off really bad.
Other than Brian O'Neill and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Name a player under 25 on this team you can build around.
Darashaw.
Maybe.
Yeah, Darashaw I keep.
Left tackle.
I keep.
No, not I'd keep.
Sure.
Not I'd keep that you would build the team around.
Okay, I'll throw. Okay. I'll give love to the line. I'm going to take a gamble here. I'm going to keep Cleveland? 3 out of those 5 linemen. I like them. I think they're good. One of them's Pro Bowl, all pro level. Cool, right? The other 2, I'm taking a gamble on. But
so Garrett Bradbury, big extension.
No.
Ulioto, big extension.
We're gonna do. Darashaw looks all right. I know he was injured. And he was in a.
Darashaw had enough flashes and played well enough that I'd be willing to see more from him. I'm excited to see more.
I'm taking on here is Ezra Cleveland because he's been good, but man, the dude's had to move around a lot. But being asked to do something you're not normally, put into doing, you do well. I'm like, well, fuck it, it works. Hey, we made it.
And the Vikings could get Irv Smith back at tight end, which again is a question mark because we haven't seen much of him.
Keep Gronklin. I'm good with getting rid of Irv.
And Conklin again, a free agent.
I like Conklin. He's not.
He might get paid a little bit more somewhere else to be a tight end that gets used a bit more.
That's true. Yeah, he had a decent year.
Of decisions. A lot of decisions.
It is such a tough offseason for this team. So many decisions to be made, and the people to make those decisions aren't here yet.
To be honest, that's why I was so surprised that they moved on from Rick Spielman.
Yeah.
Because I thought for sure I was prepared to go on a big rant about how, well, Spielman has 2 years left on his contract, and so it would have made sense for the Vikings to be like, well, we're going to bring in a new head coach, and we'll pay Spielman for 2 more years to kind of help transition the team into a new structure. That's what I really thought that's what was going to happen. So it is surprising to me that with everything we just discussed with this roster, that they're like, nah, you know what? We're just going to go in a completely different
You've even got Vikings fans that are doing exactly what you're saying, wanting to blow things up in a bigger way. You've got Vikings fans talking about moving on from Adam Thielen.
I'm not ready to move on from him. I think you need to draft his replacement, but he can stay.
I think you have his replacement in Amir Smith. Amir Smith?
You're doing the hometown stuff. I don't buy that one bit. I don't buy that at all.
We didn't see him all season until the last game, and then he looked good. And it's like, well, where was this?
That's true. The spoiler alert, I didn't watch the game yesterday because I didn't care, and I was pissed off. I took a nap. So when I watched the highlights, I was like, oh my God, he caught a touchdown. That's cool.
Yeah, he went from catching a touchdown, then he was inactive the next week. Then he came back and caught another touchdown.
So all
Charlotte, Cliff is being facetious. He's not really serious about bringing Ponder back. He's being sarcastic. Pat Pete wants to return. Keep him here, please. What's up?
It's funny how many analysts out there are talking about how Patrick Peterson was a disappointment in Minnesota. They didn't throw the football his way. They didn't. He was doing a fantastic job in deterring passes going his way. Sure, he wasn't getting interceptions. He wasn't getting pass defenses. You know why? Because people weren't throwing the ball his way.
Patrick Peterson is a little slower than what he used to be, but he was still consistently in position to do his job. It is very much, what was the other older corner, Terrence Newman? It was very much the Terrence Newman thing, where it's like the football IQ is so great that he's just able to dissect what the offense is doing and put himself in a position to succeed. I was glad that he got that pick six.
Oh, me too. Yeah. He said it too. That's every season he's been in the league. He's got an interception. So that's really cool. What I like is it only worked for one player, essentially. I mean, the linebackers were pretty good. Barr had a little triumphant return and flashes of himself, but Kendricks is always good. That's fine.
Barr finished the season so strong, and now it's time to get rid of Barr. It's like, I kind of wish he would have sucked at the end. So I was like, all right.
It makes it a little easier when they do that. But
here's what I liked, and we're going to break this down as the offseason goes along, guys. We're just like trying to cram in as much as we can in an episode. I agree with you, Andrew. Pat Pete, Smith, and I like Woods too. You can keep Xavier Woods. I'm okay with that.
I like Woods.
He was cheap.
The problem is that if you can't bring him back cheap, they've got a young player that they drafted that looked pretty good. That's hot on his heels. So, I mean, if you can save money that way. But again, this all boils down to a lot of these decisions being made because they could save a lot of money by either restructuring or letting go of some players that are making a ton of money and not making a lot of impact, especially on that defensive line.
Yeah,
that's what we brought in to stop the run.
Yeah, we paid a lot of those guys, and they were very underwhelming. That run game was just as bad as last year.
We talked about that a little bit at the beginning, Leon, about Zimmer's comment or Kendricks' comments about Zimmer and how they were kind of unnecessary.
What was the exact phrase that he used?
Something about being fear-based. He didn't like, he didn't think fear-based is the way to go as far as
leadership,
like the mentality and leadership.
Which is fair. That's fair, right?
And
you've talked about that. Yeah, you've talked about that a little bit, about being in the military, about how being yelled at all the time isn't necessarily the best way to learn something. Didn't you say that once?
So in my personal experience, and everybody's different, right? Like I need to be pushed. I know that. And in the weight room, mentally, I need a good motivator. That would work well for me. But the problem is, and what I experienced in the Air Force was, and I don't think Zimmer was like this, but it could come off this way. If you scream and yell, it shows I'm disappointed in you. But the thing that I always came back with in a positive way, not in a negative smart ass way, is I would ask, okay, why and what do I do to fix it? And if you can't be a teacher and a mentor, your yelling means nothing because you're not breaking through that person. And that's
or if you yell at some of these younger players so much as a crotchety old Mike Zimmer, maybe they're afraid to even ask you, hey, what do I need to do better? And I realize that's what their positional coaches are for. But when your head coach is your de facto defensive coordinator, you should want to have that relationship where, okay, you bitched at me all during practice, Mike, but now we're in a meeting. Can you explain to me what you want me to do? If they don't have that relationship, I understand why it eventually soured and did not work. Because I also can't imagine that Zimmer would have given a single F about like a third or fourth string wide receiver and questions they might have, or anyone on offense, a kicker, a Daniel Carlson. I can't imagine that he cared too much about developing the entire team.
Well, Zimmer is that old school mentality. It's his job to take care of that stuff. The positional coaches should take care of their business. It's all about people doing their jobs.
Yes,
it's tough, man. I know he was very hard on guys, but I think part of that, depending on the person, will bring out the best in them. I think he got the best years out of Xavier Rhodes that he could possibly get out of it. He was a star on this team for a long time.
Oh yeah,
but like a guy like Cameron Dantzler, I just don't see him based on what I see on social media and stuff. Like, I'm not calling him a beta male. I'm not calling him soft. He's a professional athlete, but it's just not how he reciprocates information and turns it into motivation. You know, not every guy that gets there is like the oorah. What are we going to accomplish today? What mountain are we going to climb? Some of these guys just like, they just want to be told, hey, I saw this thing you did and that technique looks good. That's pretty dope. Keep that up. And that'll light a fire. But like guys and like Zimmer, me and Jonathan, we're over here like, no, scream at me and tell me I'm fat so I'll lose weight, or scream at me and tell me I'm terrible and I'm slow so I'll go run more and I'll be better. Like, some of us need that. But you guys know, we all heard Zimmer was brutal, man. He was ruthless, and the defense was his baby. So I can't.
Like Leon was saying, Zimmer's doghouse is a real place.
Oof. I can't imagine some of those fringe defensive starters, if they had a bad practice, it just like get off the field.
We did see early Mike Zimmer show more of a willingness to want to grab a hold of someone like a Xavier Rhodes and work with them and teach them technique. I mean, doing things like putting the boxing gloves on him so that he would stop holding. It's like somewhere along the line, he kind of lost his way too.
This is a good one. Andrew Latola says, Zimmer explained that he put guys in the wrong formation like a dozen times. We need a dedicated DC. What the hell is he thinking, trying to do two jobs? I agree with that 100%.
He's thinking about his Instagram girlfriend.
It's a popularity contest and like a power move, like a flex almost to me. And maybe I'm wrong. It's pure speculation. But if that happens, that's just a guy who just wants to be like, I'm in charge here. And if it gets to that point, like, look at Sean McVay. Sean McVay trusts and Kyle Shanahan trust their guys so much. They're so good. The Packers, look at your neighbor right down the road. They're doing awesome. And it's a team effort there. It really is a group effort there. You know what I mean? I don't know. I see what you mean, Andrew. That's the questionable stuff that got him fired.
But I like a person who's willing to take on a lot of responsibility, but you also know how to delegate it when you're a person in charge. And he didn't seem to want to delegate anything.
Yeah. You have to be able to do
point of that too, Adam, like the times when you needed to delegate or the times where he did it too much. Like, he hates the offense. Fun, stupid story today, but I sent this to the guys in the chat, right? I saw a video where Tom Brady in New England was sitting down with Bill Belichick, and he's talking about either Ray Lewis or Terrell Suggs, and they're trying to figure out ways to bait them so they can beat them. And they were using Julian Edelman as a decoy, and they were going over these little intricacies. And I see Bill Belichick look at Tom Brady and say, "Oh, you meant like this," and writes it down in a notebook. That dude's been paid over $100 million to be here, Kirk Cousins, and they just started having meetings this year.
Yeah.
What? That's got to change completely with whoever comes in and whatever quarterback going forward. That's got to be a thing.
Offense, not Zimmer's thing. And not defense, he's not going to rely on someone else. He wants someone in place to execute his plan. So the defensive coordinator was kind of useless. The offense, they couldn't execute their own plan because Zimmer would say, we run the ball. That's what we do here. We run the ball.
100%, Jonathan.
Yeah.
100%.
It's absolutely the truth.
I think that works better. I think that works better as a coordinator.
He definitely earned that right with his experience, but this is that kind of like the UFC. If any of you guys are UFC fans, you only get so many title shots. You know, if you keep losing in the big dance, they're just going to have you float around and be a guy to kind of be like a projector guy. Like, hey, if you beat him, you can maybe get a title shot. That's where Zimmer ended up. He lost the big fights because of this shit right here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a defensive guru whose defense is ending in the bottom 5 of the league, then it's time to move on. Which is strange to say because, the Vikings gave up a ton of yards, but they got takeaways. They got sacks, but yet their offense was giving away so many possessions that the numbers just kept piling up and piling up. Third downs couldn't be converted. Pass plays were telegraphed. The offensive line just absolutely collapsed at times. It was just an absolute mess, everything that was going on the field. And the adjustments that were being made by Mike Zimmer were almost non-existent. And the game planning at times was baffling. When you're playing against a team where they're giving up the most pass yards in the league and you come out and your strategies to run the ball constantly, doesn't make sense.
The coaching thing that really pissed me off the most this year was the Detroit game.
All of it?
No, there were some good, like, don't get me wrong. I was there for at least 2 of them. Like, they beat the Chargers. That's a good team. They beat the Packers, which nobody saw. Finally beat Seattle, even though they're having it down here. Like, hey, I'll take it. You never beat Russell Wilson, but like that Detroit game, dude, you got to tell your players. I don't know why this whole season Breland and Dantzler were playing 10 yards off their man. Dude, you're basically giving them a first down every play if they go that way. And that's what Goff did. You let Jared Goff march down the field like he was Aaron Rodgers in the last play of the game or last drive.
And I don't know what was wrong with Mackenzie Alexander this season.
Oh, he was so much worse than what he was before.
That was a disappointment.
I was happy to get him back, and he didn't look like the same guy.
Cincinnati ruined him. Ugh. Yeah, it's been a tough one, man. We knew this was coming today, but I think the majority of Vikings Twitter is happy. I think the majority of Viking fan, whether you like Zimmer like myself or you didn't, you knew this day was coming. Shocking that Spielman was gone, but I'm excited and hopeful for what will happen because whatever happens next is going to be, I feel, pure speculation here, is going to be the polar opposite of what we just had. So,
we'll see. We'll talk about that more, but I think that's
can we end on the statement from the Wilfs, because I think that's pretty telling.
That sounds good to me.
So this is like, it reminded me of Pittsburgh, right? They haven't had more than 3 head coaches in like 50 years, right? They've had so few change there because they're consistent, right? The Wilfs are very much like that. They're not going to fire you because they're like, oh, we had 1 bad year and this is the expectation and you failed. No, they stuck with Mike Zimmer for almost a decade.
Did you see the reports that came out that they almost let go of him earlier?
Yes, I did.
I did not see that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did they give any?
So he knew he was on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm. Well, you talked. Was that in relation to like maybe this year they were thinking about getting rid of him? Like
no, this was a couple seasons ago.
Ooh, okay. What I like about their statement is, and maybe this is just to blow smoke up the fans' ass, but I don't think it is, because look at like Cincinnati. Let's take them for an example so you guys can understand that don't know this. They're the cheapest team in the league. Their practice facilities are like a softball stadium. You have a young superstar quarterback and an emerging superstar wide receiver. You got to pour money into that stadium so you can take care of them. The Wilfs have done that. Their facilities are state of the art. Like whoever, Adam or Kyle earlier said, they're building Viking land. So when they come out with a statement that says we want to focus on winning and bringing a championship, I believe them, because yeah, I'm sure they read stuff online, but at the end of the day, they make the rules, and they had to have been so dissatisfied.
The Vikings brand is worth a lot more money when the team's good.
I have heard from one of the other shows that I listen to that the Wilfs 100% listen to K-Fan, and they also they were speculating that there is a pretty strong indication that they listen to all of Vikings media in terms of like podcasts and stuff.
Even us? Woo.
Maybe us. Maybe the Wolves are listening.
Get in the chat and show some love.
Yeah. If Mark and Ziggy Wolf are listening, you can join the podcast anytime you'd like. But so it's interesting that they do consume, they do listen. So what the fans are saying does get to our ownership. You know, the whole us talking about how stale the franchise felt, one way or another, filters its way up top to the Vikings ownership. And when you look at how much they've invested in this team, I do think that's part of the reason why this change came about.
I wouldn't doubt one bit that the Wilf family has people in place to absorb media and analyze it and try to figure out what's going on, because that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah. What's trending on Twitter when hashtag Fire Zimmer is trending after almost every Vikings game? You're sending a message.
John, have you seen that Office meme with Pam where it says corporate wants you to find the distinction here?
Find the difference. They're the same picture.
They're the same picture. I think they're the same. I like Derek Carr. He's a good quarterback. I think it's a terrible organization. they draft some shithead human beings, but that dude can ball, man.
He also looks like he's permanently wearing eyeliner, which is strange to me.
That, and cut your hair. Grow up. And don't visit your owner's barber, please. Grow up, man. That's not a good look. That's not a good look for you, Marv. Ugh.
Marv.
True, John, but here's the thing.
Able to overcome everything this season and come out and make the playoffs is wow.
Scott, you're not fooling anybody, but that's funny as shit. John, I gotta fight you on this, man, because I like your points and I like your interaction. The thing that's going to hold you back here is Kirk's going to come back with you with three things. He's going to say the defense was trash and that's not my fault, and he has every right to say that.
That's fair.
Look at his stats. He's top 10 in his stats. And number three, most of all, he's going to say, bitch, you already paid me. This is the going rate. It doesn't go down. It goes up.
Yeah, this is the money already owed to him. They've been kicking this down the road.
But plus the salary cap, man. I'm with you. I don't want to be tied to anyone not named Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady for that kind of money. But they're already committed, and the salary cap's going to go up, dude. This is going to be the going rate for quarterbacks. In 10 years, every quarterback's going to be making $40 million.
That is an interesting point, because a lot of Vikings media will gloss that over, where you're right. They will act like you can just take Kirk out behind the woodshed and just like, poof. What happened to Kirk? What happened to the cap money we owed him? Well, he's gone now.
he's just old Yeller. It's time to go, man.
Oh, wow.
That money's not going to disappear. And I'm certainly not going to pay a player to play on another team. Hell no. That's the thing that's going to be interesting. I'll leave you guys with this. We can stop because the show's running long forever. But if they trade Kirk,
fun, though.
Oh, it is so much fun.
Blast.
If they trade Kirk, you're going to have a situation like Goff where you're going to know you're going to receive lesser in talent, but they're going to be like, hey, we'll eat the cap. We need a quarterback.
Hey, every time I listen to a trade scenario for Kirk Cousins, I want him more and more on this team moving forward. And I don't really like Kirk Cousins that much, but good Lord, when you're trying to sell me on but a year at Baker Mayfield, and if
Drew Lock in a second.
Oh
Drew
God,
Lock in a second, or then Marcus Mariota is out there somewhere.
Drew Lock in a second is my favorite. I was just like, what?
That's the thing too. Like, this is John's comment. And John, I'm not going to use you to make fun of it or whatever, but I do both sides, right? That's how we do. Kirk's a fine quarterback, John says. I just don't think we'll ever win a Super Bowl with him. Yeah, you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Case Keenum either, but we could have had star defensive ends and shit. We could have had a defense that was the 31st. I don't think dude. When's the last time a Super Bowl outside of Joe Flacco? He had a great run, but it was like whatever.
I mean,
these mediocre quarterbacks win Super Bowls. It's hardly ever. So you're gonna have to go get somebody big, and you have to pay for him a lot.
When Brad Johnson can win you a Super Bowl, I mean,
hey, you want to know a bold statement?
Oh, John, don't drink that Kool-Aid. I want to stay friends with you. he said, I just want something else. I'm done with Kirk. Yeah, John really is going to take him to the woodshed.
Do you want me to get us a downvote? Do you want to know a mediocre quarterback that won a Super Bowl? Peyton Manning in that year in Denver.
Oh no, nobody's going to disagree with that. With
his noodle arm, yeah, he was mediocre when he played for them. So I mean, it's possible.
God, Scott changing his username to Mark Wilf is the best thing ever. No, John, I know it was, man. I I get it, man. I'm kind of there too. I kind of think we know what Cousins is. I kind of think he's not going to be your game-changing, life-changing, franchise-changing quarterback. But, dude, that was watching that Green Bay game with Mannion was tough.
Oh, that was so hard to watch.
We've been kind of spoiled. Dude goes out and throws 2 or 3 touchdowns every game. It's like, I don't want that. Never mind. I take it back.
Can you imagine if the Kirk Cousins we saw in the second half against the Bears was a Kirk Cousins that we saw through an entire football game?
I know, man. He's so streaky. And that's the offense as a whole this year. It was terrible, but I can't believe they scored 7 points against the Cleveland Browns in Minnesota. Like, that still pisses me off. God, that makes me mad. The games so like that, you're just like, what are you doing? But then I go to Carolina and I see him throw a 30-yard bomb in overtime to walk off and win. And I'm like, where's this every week?
Right?
It's Vikings football, guys. That's what it is.
And there will be a lot more Vikings football to talk about as we move forward. As we've said before, there are a ton of decisions to be made, people to be hired, people to move on to, staff to fill up, players to make calls on, and it's just going to be something else, I tell you.
So that's your new thing, Kyle. I'm giving you a job. Every shitty quarterback we've ever had, just slowly put him in episodes over the offseason here.
That's going to be instead of our logo. We'll just use Donovan McNabb in the top corner. What's going on anymore?
Yeah, no, Jonathan, you're right. McNabb didn't win one, but he was in one. I mean, if the Vikings should just get to a Super Bowl, it's been almost 50 years? Shit.
1977.
Oh, it's been a long time. Long time.
Let's just get to one in my lifetime. That'd be.
Yeah, John, we were talking about that earlier. We don't bring that up. That's the biggest Rick Spielman no right there.
I am so happy for Daniel Carlson. I'm so happy that I watched him as his tape before he got brought to Minnesota, that I did a mock draft and I had him included in Minnesota's mock draft, and that he actually turned out to be good. I'm glad I was right. But man, I wish that they would have found out a way to keep him in Minnesota and not been so harsh to judge him. But I think Smith hit the nail on the head several times. Zimmer's patience for kickers and special teams and a lot of other positions,
and rookies,
he has none.
Mike Zimmer wanted to go with what he knew and what he was trusted with. He didn't want to try anything new. He wanted to go with familiarity. And I think that showed. I think, hey, when you have good defense and you run the ball, most of the time you win, but it's so hard to win in this day and age, 17-14, beat that time of possession and, get a turnover. It's like, that's not going to happen, man. You got to score like 30 a game just to be competitive now. So,
yeah. Now, although you're not in chat, whoever the one person was that stayed on my Twitch account and watched the whole time, thank you so much.
You're the real MVP.
Because that is awesome.
Charlotte, why you got to do him dirty like that? Rude. Hey, we're going to call it a show. I knew this was going to be a popular episode because of the topic at hand, but we had up to 25 people viewing it at once. We've had so much love. This is the most interaction ever. And
yeah.
God, this is so much fun. I like that too. Flores, DC, Lane Kiffin, OC head coach calling it. All right.
By the next time we record, we could have a general manager in place.
I also want to make
we also do have the Vikings home and away opponents set. I believe we have the graphic for those put up over on the Facebook page, right?
Yep, we do.
So you can go and check that out and let us know which games you're looking forward to, which ones that you're kind of dreading. I'll be honest, I've got 2 games circled on my list because there are a couple teams I have not seen the Vikings beat that are coming to Minnesota. And I would like to go and see either the Vikings take on the Jets or the Giants. Because I have not seen either of them.
You don't want to see them get beat by the Patriots?
We'll wait on the Patriots. Hold off on that.
I probably will too. At least they'll be in Minnesota. Last time they played Matt Castle. Last time they were in Minnesota, Matt Castle was quarterbacking for us, so that was fun.
I feel a little bit better about the Jets or the Giants.
Scott, you're funny, man. I will promote this to start because I want Adam's stuff to be up there first, but also We talked about it on our movie review channel. This is Adam's channel. I'm not taking it over. Just want to say he's nice enough to let me guest on there. We're going to do football picks, and what better time to start? We're going to talk about the playoffs because wild card week here, super wild card weekend is here. And we had fooled around with the idea of that. So we're going to do it this weekend. Let's do it.
You're welcome to join us on that too, West, if you want.
What are we doing? What's the movie?
Just picks. We're just talking about the NFL in general and
who
we think is going to win
picks and each week.
It'll be fun. We have more teams to talk about now that the playoffs have expanded.
Over on my Twitch, we also do the movie reviews. I am upgrading my internet on Friday. I've got the Starlink dish coming, and I'm going to set that up, and hopefully it'll be fast enough to where I'll be able to stream much more regularly over on Twitch, whether it's games or more stuff like this. Either way, you're bound to get more content because my internet right now is not good. Honestly, I'm surprised that I don't drop out of this meeting constantly. But over on the Viking Age, you can check out a lot of my work. I got content coming out every once in a while. My last article that came out, I believe, was my takeaways from the season, my 5 takeaways from the season. And I learned a lot about the Vikings this year, and I hope you guys did too. Over on Undead Walking, I talk about some Walking Dead related stuff. Haven't written an article over there in a little while, but I like to have some fun with it. Over on my social medias on Twitch or on Twitter, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, and I like talking to positive people who don't go for insults right away. So if you're looking to make some insults, please don't come on and hang out with me. Over on my Instagram, I got a lot of pictures of cats. Over on my TikTok, I got a lot of weird videos, and I actually got a weird follow on TikTok the other day. NXT wrestler Shotzi Blackheart. So
very cool.
That was kind of strange. But yeah, I mean, MN Viking Zombie on all my socials. Come on over and hang out. Say hi, and hopefully we can interact, and you guys can make me a little bit of money to make some cat food.
Explain
Charlotte,
to me this
Jonathan,
one.
thank you so much. That'd be cool if you guys
Ziggy Wolf was on your Twitch.
Explain to me this one. Vikings sign 8 players to reserve/future contracts. Who signed them? Who made that decision?
What was the first part of what you said?
They signed 8 players to reserve.
Oh, the future contracts?
Future contracts. Well, who made that decision? we don't have a general manager.
The ghost of Rick Spielman strikes again.
Boom.
You're stuck with Ole Udo. I gave him a guaranteed for 4 years. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. I re-extended Kirk. Bye.
Wes, promote your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that froze up a little bit.
No, you're good.
You can check out my photography work using the link below on the screen. I have a lot of cool stuff up there. You guys should check it out. Help spread it around. Share it on social media, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. I would appreciate anything that you do to help out.
That's KyleWest84.pickfair.com.
Still need to buy a custom domain name. I keep forgetting to do that.
Well, just keep stalling and talk about how good it is because I'm going to share the screen on that too.
Okay.
Jonathan says the Super Bowl is going to be the Packers and the Titans.
You really think the Titans are going to go that far? Oof.
The Titans they got good defense going. Their offense is clicking. They're getting their star running back. I mean, there's a lot to like about Tennessee right now.
Yeah, I forgot Henry's coming back. That does change it a little bit. Look at all this awesome photography. And where's this at? Iowa.
Look at that classic car.
Yeah. It's an old Plymouth.
It was pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
This is all by Kyle West here, so you guys should support him as well. Just thought I'd share that too. Vaguely Square.
Absolutely.
You can follow him on social media. I'm taking a little break, so don't bother me on there. Just come yell at me in the comments here.
You get too worked up over the Twitter, Smith. You need a.
But you got NC Dog Dude. You can go and add him for when he does make his return.
I don't have that up here anymore. Yes, at NC, like North Carolina Dog Dude. That would be me. God.
So once again, everybody that joined us in the chat, thank you so much. These shows are so much fun, and it's so much fun because you guys are here with us. Otherwise, we'd be recording another Skype call and just posting it up, and that's not good. So thanks again to everyone who joined us. We'll be back next week. I don't know when we're going to do a show with the awards or whether we're going to be back to talk more coaching and GM changes. But either way, I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about next week. So until then, stay classy, Minnesota.